I want to start this video by saying that I know a lot of really great contractors. People like my friend LJ Olsen in Greensboro, North Carolina, an extremely talented remodeler and carpenter, and my friend Logan Parker in Pittsboro, North Carolina, who builds unbelievable grain structures and runs a great YouTube channel of his own. I grew up around good contractors, but I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't aware of how terrible our reputation has gotten as an industry. The words bad contractor just seem to go together these days. And virtually every client I know has had some sort of horror story about money stolen, projects gone wrong, and time lost. So, in this video, I want to give you a look at the 5 most common ways that bad contractors cheat their clients. Consider it sort of a playbook for what to avoid in the future. And please keep in mind that at thehonestcarpenter.com, we consult with clients nationwide to help prevent problems like this. My father, Ross James, is our lead consultant. And in short, affordable phone and video chats, we talk with people about their house-related problems, contracting issues, and even DIY solutions. So be sure to visit us at thehonestcarpenter.com and check out our second channel, Honest Carpenter Consulting, where we offer tips and even discuss the work that we do. All right, with that said, let's get going. Number 1, the draw and dash. This first example is quite possibly the worst. A material draw is a deal where a contractor takes some portion of their fee up front to pay for materials. This ensures that if the client backs out or loses funding, the contractor won't be on the hook for materials already purchased. It's a totally valid part of construction, and I would never argue against it. But things can go very wrong when an extremely dishonest contractor takes the draw with no intentions of actually doing the work. They'll often string clients along saying that they can't source materials, or workers are sick, or vehicles are broken down. In some instances, they'll just stop taking phone calls and they'll trust that their clients are so timid, they'll just cut their losses and walk away. This is outright robbery. To avoid this problem, make sure that you're working with contractors who are legitimate. You want people that have a work record in your area, they have an online presence, and they have a local reputation to keep. Because there's a chance that if your contractor just has a phone number and an out-of-town address, your material draw isn't buying you anything. Number 2, material swapping. This is more difficult for most clients to identify. A material swap is when a contractor draws up an agreement to use a certain type of material for a job, but then uses a cheaper, inferior product instead. They're usually relying on the idea that the client can't spot the difference, or that they won't see it before it's covered up or painted over. Insist on seeing your contractor's materials before a job starts. You don't have to be rude about it, just say, is this the hardy plank siding, or is this the PVC trim that you said we were going to use? Good contractors will be happy to show off a quality product and explain why it's superior. And if you don't feel confident in your ability to identify these products, have a friend with some construction experience look things over. Take a picture and send it to them if need be. Materials are very easy to tell apart for anybody who's worked with them before. And of course, you can always use us as an outside resource at thehonestcarpenter.com if you don't have anybody like this. That's one of the services that we offer. Number 3, estimate changing. This is probably the most overused trick in the construction industry. In this example, a contractor looks at a repair job or a remodel and they throw out a decent price. They then carry out the early demolition phase of the project and, surprise, find out that it's going to be far more extensive than they originally thought. A full repair is going to be much pricier than estimated. This puts the client in a real bind. The house is partly demolished, the old contract is moot, and things won't be back to normal until everything is fixed. Then, the contractor starts leaning on them. They use scare tactics. They say that the house is compromised, that it's dangerous, that no one else is going to come in and do the work for any less. And they always fall back on an old argument. We didn't know how bad it was going to be until we opened up the walls. And the problem is, they're technically telling the truth. Tradesmen don't have X-ray vision. We can't see through your walls. Houses hide their damage. But what makes this situation so dishonest is that the contractor didn't properly warn the client of what they were getting into. They just threw out a number that they knew the client would say yes to. Then they started the job knowing that one way or another, they'd find a way to drive up costs. To avoid this problem, especially on repairs, I would always put in something that I called an excavation clause or an exploration bid. This is an estimate for a small, controlled demolition that will let us see the extent of the problem. Once we have a better grasp on things, a second bid can come into play. Occasionally it's built into the original estimate and we can just stick with it. Other times it has to be tweaked, but at least the client knows that it's coming. Be sure to ask your contractor about these things. See if they're willing to offer an exploration bid or something like it. If they're hesitant or unwilling, you might want to find someone with a more reasonable approach in mind. Number 4, the never-ending job. Bad contractors don't just cheat their clients out of money, they also cheat them out of time. Part of a contractor's bid or estimate should always stipulate an intended time frame for the project. It can contain leeway, especially for bigger projects. But they should be able to reasonably tell you how long a job is going to take and then stick to it. The problem is, most contractors are often juggling numerous projects at once. And whether they admit it or not, some of these projects are far more important to them than others. They may pull all resources off your job to go hunt a bigger paycheck quickly. And they'll give all sorts of reasons why this is necessary. Materials can't be sourced. Subcontractors are on leave. Personal hardship has stretched them thin. But the thing is, none of that stuff is your problem. You're paying a contractor to manage your project for you. That's all they do. As such, any issues that arise are their responsibility, not yours. Get serious with your contractor at the outset about how long a job will take. If they waffle, ask them if they will discount a job that goes badly over schedule. And if they just seem unwilling to work with you on this, there's a good chance that they are not going to honor their time frame commitments to you. Number 5, underbuilding. I use this term to encapsulate any work that just isn't up to industry standards. This is the hardest example for clients to identify and easily the most harmful. Good contractors will go out of their way to make sure that jobs are high quality and code compliant. Bad contractors will cut every little corner that they can. Whether it's slapping on one coat of paint instead of 2 or skimping on hardware, they'll get it done just enough that it looks right in the moment and hope they can get away with the check before anyone notices. Again, this is where you need a contractor you can trust. Get them to put in writing what they're going to do, then stay up to date with them. Tick off the line items. You have to stay engaged in the building process. And I'm not asking anyone to badger their contractor. It can cause bad blood and it can slow a project down in the long run. But you are entitled to get what you paid for. And in this case, it really helps to have an outside resource. If you know a good builder personally, maybe pay them for a little Q&A time. Show them pictures, get their opinion. And again, if you don't know a builder, that's a big part of what we're here for at thehonestcarpenter.com. We're here to provide impartial opinions and inform clients of industry standards. If you're not sure what a project will entail, if you're worried about how it will go, or if you're curious about how it turned out, get in touch with us. For a very affordable fee, we can be that extra set of eyes and that source of information. So that's it. 5 ways that bad contractors cheat their clients. I hope it was helpful. What do you think? Have you faced these problems before? Has something come up that I didn't mention? Let me hear about it down in the comments. I'll link all of our contacts from our consulting website to our new channel down in the description. We're still just ramping things up, so it's a great time to get in touch with us. Our goal at Honest Carpenter Consulting always is to save you time and money and help avoid contracting catastrophes. We're your pro in the corner. Your phone a friend when you just don't have the information that you need. And we can do it all in phone calls, emails, and video chats, no matter where in the country you are. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back in for more videos weekly. And please consider subscribing and hitting that little bell button beside the subscribe button to turn on notifications. That way you'll know the moment we post something. I'm Ethan James with thehonestcarpenter.com. I'll see you next time.